Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Morning Coffee with Mike. Today, I've got a very special guest. His name is Salem. He reached out to me the other day to talk about loss aversion, talk about some psychology, some psychological aspects of trading. He's a futures trader. He's been trading for 5 years, and here is Salem. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. So, uh, can you tell us a little bit about your backstory and what brings you on the show today?
Yeah, I've been trading for, like I said, 5 years, give or take. And throughout that time, I've experienced different markets. I've experienced, I went from originally started with stocks, and I never really traveled too far out of stocks. And I started developing and testing like what works, what doesn't work, and I've learned a lot. And once I finally developed a system, I realized that my system works better on markets that trade even after hours. Like
Okay.
futures only close for like 1 hour, besides the weekend. And so, yeah, that system works on the futures markets. So I kind of just stuck to that. And yeah, I didn't think I'd be trading futures when I started. I thought I would just be trading stocks.
Mm.
But yeah, I eventually go to markets that they just take you places.
Yeah, totally. And it's good to figure that part out early, like you did too. If you're able to figure out which asset class works better for you, that's a good part of the game as well, right? If we have a certain style or a certain time frame there that works better for a certain asset classes, can be easier to trade. Um, so tell us, well, what brings you on the show. There were a few things that you had outlined in the form, and that
Yeah,
we were talking about before offline too.
yeah. Um, the biggest thing with me isn't the system. The system's a pretty good system. Um, it's about a 70% hit rate, but
Okay.
on those 30%, I take losses personally. Like I'm always over analyzing my losses, and it's a good thing to check out why it didn't work, but
Okay.
there you can't overdo it, right? And it takes a mental hit on you, especially if you take like 2 or 3 losses in a row.
Hmm.
Um, it does hurt. It really gets you off your game. At least for me personally, I start thinking like, what if my system doesn't work anymore? What if I don't know how to execute it, and so on and so on. I really get in my own head with losses, and that's why I decided to reach out for help because I think you might be able to speak some sense
Tell me
into
a
me.
little bit. Tell me a little bit about your system. How did you come
Mhm.
across this system? Is this something that you modeled from somebody else? Is it something that you cooked up on your own? How did you come up with this?
Yeah, so I believe that markets are pretty much whatever you make them to be.
Okay.
And an individual that wants to be able to successfully trade the markets, I think they have to create their own concept of what the market is.
Hmm.
And you do that by really having your own opinions on, the market, and
Hmm.
learning from other successful people like yourself, Mike, and other traders out there. Peter Brandt's a good one. And you just take in as much information as you can. I believe there's something that you can learn from everybody, but the beauty of it is that you get to pick and choose, right? You don't
Right.
have to copy somebody specifically, and you really, I think long-term success is found when you don't, because that's how you develop a system that's made for you. Um, and yeah, I've just taken inspiration from all these different kinds of traders. Man, I forgot his name. I have his book somewhere here.
Hmm.
Um, I think his name was also Michael. Let me see. Um,
Yeah, I'm totally with you about taking bits and pieces from other people and then making it your own. That's really the recipe for success for everybody that does this, and anybody that you've ever read about. None of us need to reinvent the wheel. It's just a matter of learning how to drive the car. But we're still behind the wheel, right? We're still in the driver's seat.
yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's really important that you keep your success modeling other
So,
people. Mhm.
So how have you gone about testing the system? How do you make sure that it works? Is it something where like you're figuring it out and you're kind of going along with it actively trading this thing? Did you do back testing? Well, what kind of analysis or testing that went into it beforehand?
Yeah, you develop a theory, you develop a thesis, and really it's just a lot of just looking at the chart, finding. So you have a pattern. You look at the chart, you go back as far as you want to,
Okay.
and you find a pattern. You basically test your trade against that pattern, find the parameters, that fit that trade, and really you just need an Excel sheet. You just copy bunch of trades that follow that exact same pattern that thesis that you've developed. And you're able to see the commonalities, how much is your drawdown, what's the expected rate of return, how often does it work in your favor, things like that. And yeah, once you do the back test, you keep having a record of it, even as you live trade it. So you always keep a forward testing like updated.
So you've done that back testing.
Yeah.
And how many? Well, was it a manual back test or were you going through with software? Well, what did you do? Manual?
Yeah, it was manual. Yeah, eyeball and screen. Yeah.
And how many trades did you test?
150.
150.
Yeah.
Was that over different years, different market cycles?
3 years.
1 year?
Yeah, 3 years. It was over 3 years. Yeah.
So past 3 years, so like going back to 2020 or 2019?
Probably 2017 because the systems I've had it for a while, about a year.
Okay. And you're trading futures, right? Well, what kind of futures are you trading?
Basically MES. That's where I've tested the system, and that's where it works. The ES, MES. It works in other markets too, like oil, and MCL. It even works on stocks, but I don't use after hours data for stocks. I really just stick to like the market data that shows like during the trading hours.
Interesting. Would you say that you've tested enough to trust the data?
Mm-hmm. So what was the question?
Have you done enough testing to the point where you trust the data and you trust the system?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, so the loss aversion that you'd mentioned, well, when we were talking offline, that part has not to do with the system itself.
No, no way. You see, a little bit. I don't believe it's a system. I don't, because the trades. When I say loss aversion, I mean like if I take a trade on a Monday, and it's a losing trade, and I start to get in my own head, and I'll come back on Tuesday, and I'll look at the same exact setup, and I won't take it, but it'll work because I don't take it. And that's kind of what I mean by loss aversion. It's because like, and even sometimes the system says like I have a certain level for a stop loss, and what I'll do is as soon as the trade comes hits my entry point, I will move my stop loss to the low of day, which is slightly below because it's a scalping strategy. I do have some wiggle room, but as soon as it hits my entry, I'll move it to that entry point just so I don't lose on the trade. And if it dances around a little and then it takes off, I'm out of the trade because I had my stop loss moved up. That's, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. When your focus shifts, well, where would you say that your focus is? Well, when you had that loss, are you focused on the system or are you focused on getting that win back?
I'm really focused on not losing money.
Really focused on not losing money.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, when you place that first trade or when you're on a winning streak, where's your focus?
Had a good day.
Still on not losing money, or is your focus somewhere else?
No, my focus is completely on the system.
All right. Now we're getting somewhere. So your focus is on the system when you're making money, but when you have a loss, your focus shifts. So what do you think would be helpful to getting your focus back onto the system? Let's see. Oh, you
Probably,
tell me. Well,
I'm thinking maybe like looking at my back testing,
maybe. Tell me
seeing
about your routine. Tell me about your pre-market routine.
in the morning.
Yeah, is it the same thing all the time, or well, what's your routine like? On a
Yeah,
winning day, on a losing day, is it consistent?
I try to be consistent on the morning routine. Mainly just consists of waking up early, um, might have a cup of coffee, but drink a lot of water, exercise, whether it's yoga or I go to the gym. Always a
Mhm.
cold shower, just for 4 minutes. And then I'm at my desk by 8 and looking at the markets. I always journal as I'm going throughout the day. Um, I keep an Evernote tab open all the time I'm here. And that's my pre-market routine. Um, Simple, effective, and it works.
You keep a journal. Well, what do you keep in your journal?
My thought process. So I'll take a screenshot of the trade setups and basically what my chart looks like, and I'll just write down what I see and
Mhm.
my plan for the day. Like I'll take a trade at this level based on that because of this, and I give it an hour to play out. If it doesn't hit that trade in an hour, I don't take it because I don't like it when trades wiggle around before they come to me. I want to just hit me fast and go.
Mhm.
Um, and so I do have that time frame constraint on there. So I stick to that too. I plan everything beforehand and just kind of follow that.
Do you journal anything about your thoughts, like your feelings, your emotions, any of that stuff before or after the trade or during the trade?
Sometimes, but usually it's after the trade. I have like a bubble in sheet that lists my focus, enthusiasm, energy, posture, willpower, and anxiety levels throughout the day. And I just, check box each of those for every hour. I have it marked from like 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. just cause, but I don't go that far. Usually I'm off the desk by 11 or 12.
Yeah,
Um,
that's interesting. It's great that you're going into that kind of depth. Not
and
too many people do that.
I try.
Yeah, you're ahead of the game there. Have you? So now I'm curious. Have you gone back and looked at because you have this log? Have you taken a look at that log versus days that you're on a winning streak, days that you're on a losing streak, or any of that?
No, can't say I have. Mm-mm.
That's interesting. That might be something to look into,
I
to
agree.
just to see like how because since you have the data to see how the data correlates to the performance, right? Like,
Mm.
but that could be something that you do and see how that ends up giving you some kind of a better reflection. But uh, well, what I think another thing that I think that would be helpful too is. Uh, a couple of things, right? Well, one, well, we know that your system works and that your system works well. And we also know that your system, when you're focused on your system, you do well. And then, well, when your focus shifts away from your system, that's when problems start to arise. So when we were talking offline before, we were talking about a different perspective or a
Mhm.
shifting perspective to where you have your system and your system is like you're the game master of your system. You're in charge. You create this thing. And then when you're actually trading, you're not thinking of yourself as the referee versus thinking of yourself as the player. So well, what I've found when I've done this is that it lets me see more objectively. So I'm curious if that would help you see more objectively, like where you're creating a bit of separation from you and the trade, where it's just like, okay, I've created this set of rules, I've created this game, and I have this system, and I know the system works, and each trade is the player, and so long as it's adhering to the rules, then this trade gets to do what it's going to do. If
Yeah.
this trade does not adhere to the rules, then I kick it out the door because hey, you didn't follow the rules, there's your yellow flag, and you go sit on the sidelines.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very smart thing. I agree with you. It's definitely the me not following the system. And I think you brought up a good point with being able to look back on my logs. There's no point in having the logs if you don't look back on it. So I'm definitely going to take that moving forward 100%. I'll include that in my weekly and monthly reviews. I'll check that out. Um, yeah, for sure.
So you have those logs. How often do you review your trading journal?
Weekly, you're
Okay.
supposed to do it weekly anyway.
All right.
Weekly and monthly. I'll look over all my trades. I'll write down my best trade, my worst trade, and the trade that interested me the most. Uh, have some details on them, and I'll keep that in like my weekly or monthly logs, as well as my P&L because
All
P&L.
right.
Yeah.
So as far as the trading journals go, it sounds like you have a process for post analysis, and you're fairly consistent with that. It's this other log that you had created that perhaps we could integrate into the post analysis part of the routine.
Yeah, for sure. It's not hard to do. I just have to look at it, and I just haven't been looking at it. To be honest with you, I just haven't been, and so I'm definitely going to be.
Mhm. All right. All right, cool. So we've got two things there, right? Well, we've got that part, well, with
Mhm.
integrating the emotional log into the post analysis, and we also have this new perspective shift of seeing yourself as the referee versus being the player, and that can help to provide a certain level of detachment from the trades. Uh, what other ways can we help you to focus on the system versus focusing on the loss aversion, or from losing money? What sort of things or do you have in your physical space? What kind of reminders? Like, do you have any kind of reminders on your desk or anywhere else around you that could help to be like a mental trigger to focus on the system?
No, I've got a couple of charts that I have on my bulletin board, seasonality charts for my swing trades. Um, those are very helpful. But as far as like the mental game of trading, I don't. Mm-mm.
All right. So, what do you think would be some good reminders for you to focus on the system and to remember that mental part of trading?
Probably a sticky note or
What kind of a phrase, maybe?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Like what comes to mind when you think of following the system or following the process, uh, or if you had uh, a certain mentor or aspirational figure looking over your shoulder, who might that be?
I'd say probably treat it as a business.
All right.
I have to think about that. Yeah, no, that's definitely gonna be something I'm gonna look into. I have to
All
write
right,
that
so
down.
treat it as a business.
Yeah,
We could come up with a few other things, but you could have things like that that are plastered right on your screen. And here's another hack there that you could do too. So, if you're like most people look at their phones like 1,000 times a day,
yeah,
right?
bang
Uh,
on right.
so you could take the same kind of aspirational messages for yourself and put them on your background for your phone.
Okay, yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, put it as a background and put it as the first thing that like you pull up your phone. So that way, every single time you look at your phone, you're going to be reminded of this thing 1,000 times every single day, and eventually, that'll
Right.
help it stick even more.
Yeah, it'll sink its way in there by by force. Yeah,
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 exactly. Sometimes we need to uh, press these things.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah, I know that you know all about doing the reps, especially like when it comes with like your routine. You've got a solid routine. You're doing these cold showers. That's not easy to do, right? It's all about putting in the reps.
Yeah, you just got to do it consistently over time, and really it's just one big process. Ultimately, it's just one big process. Um, yeah, so really shouldn't see this as any different. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So, well, we've got three things that we spoke about. We just with this here, um, with putting it on your phone and having these kind of reminders for yourself to stick with the system. Uh, we spoke about the emotional part and looking at that post analysis and integrating that uh, into your post analysis, and also the tactic of looking at yourself as the referee versus looking at yourself as the player,
Yeah.
and not creating the detachment. Well, what other thoughts or questions or other things do you have? We've got a few more minutes here. Let's see a couple of things that.
We hit a lot more than I thought we would hit, which is great.
Yeah, man, that's
Very
how I
happy.
roll.
There is one more thing.
Sure.
It only happens to me on a Monday. I don't know why. Maybe it's because like I'm super anxious and ready to trade over the weekend. Because all I'm thinking about on the weekend is I can't wait till Monday to trade, and it's just because it's fun, right? I just like the markets, and the thought that comes up is sometimes, not all the time, but again, it kind of goes back to the loss aversion. It's like, what if this doesn't work? I don't know anything. Like, this is just a system that I've traded. Markets are chaotic systems. Like, let's be honest, we don't know what's going to happen,
Sure.
and like that's it'll come and go. But it happens on a Monday usually, and if I have a good or bad day on a Monday, I'll come back on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I won't really think about it. But sometimes it happens on a Monday. I've noticed. That's all. I don't know if you've ever heard anything like that.
Well, I think that's another thing that you could might be able to dig into from your journaling and your data. Like you've been tracking all this stuff, well, which is great. You could see the your stats on like a Monday, on a Tuesday, like throughout the week,
Yeah, that's true.
and then you could start to see like, well, which days are your best days. Then you could start to figure out, well, why is that the case? It sounds like you've got a hypothesis already, like having time off
Mhm.
and then starting up again. So uh, one of the things that can happen, right? Like so if just in general, like looking at data, like, oh, like I find that Tuesdays are my best day, Mondays I suck, so let me not trade on Monday and I'll just start trading on Tuesday. But if there's that kind of like anxious build up to it,
Time
you stop
gap.
trading on Monday, then all of a sudden your Tuesday becomes your Monday, right? So we wouldn't want that to happen.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Probably
Yeah,
come to
so
Monday and take like half size positions, maybe. That's another idea.
that's a good one,
Mhm.
right? Like so to start to ease your way in.
Yeah. Warm up. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a concept that I talk about it in my book. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but it's called progressive exposure.
Yeah.
Maybe you're familiar with that concept already. Have you ever heard of that concept before? Progressive exposure?
I haven't. I think it's like used for curing fears, isn't it?
I'm sorry.
Curing fears, like if people are like fearful of like a dog or something, it's like
Uh,
progressive exposure. Is that what I'm thinking of or no?
yeah. So that's one way to use it. Sure. The way that I was actually thinking about using it was with position sizing in the first way that you were talking about. So starting out with the smaller size,
Mhm.
then as you get wins, then you use the profits from those wins to start to scale up. And then if you do have a loss, then you start to scale back down. so you could rapidly scale up and then scale down based on your performance. So that way you're always trading your largest when you're trading your best, and you're trading your smallest when you're trading your worst.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I gotta get that book. I know you released it. I gotta get it. I gotta get a copy of it.
I appreciate it. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all these places, Walmart, Target.
Trading Mind Wheel, right?
I'm sorry?
It's called the Trading Mind Wheel.
Yeah, the Trading Mind Wheel.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you know what? After we hop off, send me your address. I'll send you a copy.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, dude, thanks. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, man, my
Awesome.
pleasure.
Appreciate it.
All right, so we've got a couple of minutes left here. Any final thoughts or things you want to ask, or anything at all?
No, man, I'm just really grateful that you gave me the opportunity to hop up on here, and I can't thank you enough. This means a lot, and thank you for sharing your expertise and your time and the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Whatever I could do to help, I'm here, and I'm glad that you got some value from this. Certainly
Yeah,
sounds like it.
no, I'm glad. Yeah, yeah, you definitely opened me up. Yeah, because it makes a lot of sense, right? Why would you have a journal if you don't look back on it?
Mm.
It's one of those things that, like, oh, it's like a good thing that like, that's what it's for, so do it, you know? And like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna incorporate that 100%. 100%.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to hearing about your progress, and yeah, we'll hop off in a bit, get your address, and I'll send over a copy.
All right, thank you. Thank you again.
All right, take care, Ben. Thank you, everybody. Take care. We'll see you back here tomorrow for the next morning coffee or morning tea with Mike. I might need to change the title of the show. I keep on drinking tea in the mornings now. But anyway, have a great rest of your day, everyone. Take care, Salem.
All right, bye.